So please give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you guys for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our live edition of He's a Guy podcast. Yes, we're doing it live, no editing, no filters. It's just us, you, and whatever happens next. So please give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you guys for being here. Man, if you guys could have seen us frantically running around all this week or weeks prior leading up, yeah, man, we're really humble and we thank all of you guys for showing up tonight. We really, really do appreciate it. We've got a great show for you guys tonight. And as always, if you're watching online, please do like, comment, and subscribe.
Gotta give him the sound step.
All right, Tychon, stop.
Yo, let me do the sound.
Do the sound, bro.
Right.
Stop.
That was actually good. No. You know what? That was actually good. For the live show, he practiced.
Stef, continue.
All right, my fault, brother. My fault. So as Cedric did, he introduced our guest. Thank you guys for coming along and talking to us. The first episode that we have here is depression a choice? Tychon came up with this topic line. Can you speak to it a little bit, brother? What you were mentioning before?
Why are you blaming me?
It's not that I blame, brother.
It's like blame, brother.
Did it?
Why I came up with it? Honestly, because over the last few weeks, I was having a discussion with one of my friends, and it popped up like I was being told that depression is a choice. We always have a choice. Whether we get sad or upset or we get into a cycle that's really negative where we can't get out of bed and it's still up to us to get out of that depression, right? Even if it's to the point where it's clinical, it's still up to us to take action. It always will come down to us to take action. But obviously it's more complicated and nuanced than that. Sometimes it is chemical. How you feel sometimes is beyond what you feel like is your control. And if you feel like you can't do something, what do you do? So it's like, is it a choice? I don't know. Some people say yes, some people say no. But I'm glad we have experts on here to have that conversation because I've been depressed. And there's times where I felt like I didn't have a choice. But I also felt like there were moments where I realized that my habits, the journaling, the reading, the meditating, the taking walks, all those things help. And those are choices I made to have better mental health. So it's a good conversation.
Great conversation. So before we get into it, we do this little thing on the episodes you guys see called mental check-ins. So I'd like to go around stage here and do a little mental check-in, just how you are doing, how you're feeling right now. Dr. David, can you please tell us how you're doing? What's your mental check-in? What's your level at today?
Good. A little apprehensive. I wasn't expecting 2 couches.
Perfect. Thank you. Terril, holla at me, brother.
I'm a 10, baby. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys.
You never said that before.
And I'm looking up here, and you guys made me feel like a 10. I'm not even gonna lie. Seeing faces that I haven't seen before in my life. I'm gonna call him out, Tychon's grandpa. I haven't seen him. I always hear about him, and to see him here looking sharp, you can't complain. And to actually have my mom in the stands as well.
Big.
Shout out Donna.
I'm not done there. I could call everybody out, but the most important right now is my wife, Maria. I'm getting goosebumps right now talking to you guys. I'm not even gonna lie, but I'm a 10. I'm a 10.
Look what you guys did to him, bro.
Stef, tell us how you're feeling.
To be honest with you, I'm a 10 too as well, bro. This is exhilarating. To see you guys here come support us, it's tremendous. I have family in the front row. My lady's here. You know what I mean? I got my uncle over here. You know what I mean? He's departed from the rest of the family, but I see him. I got friends, that it's hard to see, but they've come out and support. So it's honestly, thank you guys. Honestly, when I say thank you, I really, really, truly mean it. I appreciate you guys. I'm at a 10, 100%. Sean?
I can't not say 10. So
I'm
11, brother.
Oh, shit.
11. I'm feeling like an 11, and I'll tell you why. To see my dad up there having me in tears, really being vulnerable and honest with the crowd, to see my grandfather here. Don't steal my grandfather, brother.
My bad.
To see my grandfather here all the way from Montreal at 88, taking the train on his birthday to come see us. Round of applause. To have my mom here, who has been in Antigua for almost the last full year, to be here, seeing her every day. There's something about family and community that really pushes you to a new level. Like, look what we're doing. And this is because of us doing it together. So when we're together, we go so much further. So it's like, I'm definitely a 10. I'll give you another reason why I'm a 10. We're all not wearing hats. We all look fresh. No man wore a hat today, so
Yo, just pass it down to Theon.
okay, my bad, Theon.
Pass it down to
How you
Theon.
feeling, brother?
Honestly, mic check. Hello.
Speak with
Can you hear
your
me?
chest,
I
brother.
am. Honestly, I'm feeling like a 10 too. Like, I can echo all the same things you guys are saying. Like, having all my family here, see my grandmother here. She doesn't even know what a podcast is, but she's here. She said, "What? You're on YouTube? What's YouTube?" But for real, man, just to see everybody in the audience and just pulling up for a cause and showing up for us, this is a feeling that you can't even you can't explain. So like 10.
I just want to make a comment here. So, when we think about happiness, because we're all like in pursuit of it, right? It is enjoyment, it's satisfaction. So working towards a goal and actually achieving it, and it's purpose. And I think you guys are at a 10 because you have literally achieved each one of those pieces with this that you have put together. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. So to see this, I'm at a 10 because I love to see Black men shine. I love
Appreciate you. Thank
to
you.
see-
All right, let's jump into this episode. Can depression be a choice? So we have a professional here. I want to lean this question to you first. How does mental health professionals differentiate between sadness and clinical depression?
So it's a great question because we use those terms. Right.
Yeah.
Better? Can you hear me at the back?
A little bit closer.
Even closer?
Yeah, a little bit.
That's why I'm not a 10. I'm a 9.5, but I'm working on it real hard. Look, we all have low moods. I mean, that's part of life. We all should have low moods at points, right? Something bad happens, a loved one runs into trouble, a relationship ends. It would be wrong for us not to have a lower mood. But when we're talking about major depressive disorder, depression, as physicians and others talk about it, we're talking about something that sits on us and stays with us, right? We usually find it in combination with things. So the low mood is accompanied by the lack of ability to sleep or too much sleep, a lack of energy, not enjoying things we typically enjoy, and it stretches. So again, something bad happens during the day at the office, it's not surprising we might be lower in mood. But when it sits on us, that's when it's cause for concern, and that's when it's a little bit more than just a bad day.
Appreciate you. Thank you for that. So opening this question up to the panel, have you or someone ever experienced depression? And what did that experience teach us about depression being a choice versus control? That was a mouthful. I'm sorry.
It is a tough one. I remember when we had, was it last week? We had Justin on the podcast.
Absolutely.
Shout out Justin. He's in the room here somewhere.
Come on.
And he talked about sometimes we only can understand at the level of our perception. And when he said that to me, it was very profound. And why that's so profound to me, because it means we only can understand usually based on our experiences. From my story, I remember winning Big Brother and thinking to myself, I should be on top of the world. All this external validation from the world, winning $125,000 cash, being thrust into the spotlight. I thought like that should make me happy because of where I was at that time. A lot of us, like when we talked about growing up together, we always used to say like, yo, let's get the bag. When we get the bag, we'll be blessed. And I got the bag and I didn't feel blessed. So what that told me was, at that level, at that point in time, I didn't have an understanding of what peace meant, or fulfillment, or happiness. So when you come back to, was it a choice? How can you make a choice when you don't feel like you have choices? So it's hard, it's really hard to say. But I'll tell you right now, that low mood lasted more than just a couple days. It felt like a depression. But to say, was it depression or not, it's hard to say, but I know it didn't feel good.
Follow that up, bro.
I will. There was like a week, maybe two, where something felt off with me. And I had my wife keep asking, are you good? Are you okay? And I was always saying, yeah. And then like Tychon even heard it in my voice one time. He's like, are you good? And I kept telling everybody yes until I finally just said, I don't feel like myself. I feel different. And Tychon's like, are you sure you're not depressed? And I was like, maybe. I don't know. And for that week or two, I was just down. I didn't want to go to the gym. I didn't want to work. I didn't want to do anything. But then I snapped out of it. And what made me snap out of it, I hate to say, like I looked at my kids and I said, I can't be sad and mopey knowing that when I see them, they make me happy. So is it a choice? I honestly can't answer that. Only thing I can say is I had to snap out of it real quick for my kids.
Go ahead.
Hear what you guys are saying. I could say I can see both sides. Situation happened a couple of years ago. My nephews and my brother, they lost their mom. We talk about depression. I was a different person. I understand it, understand why it happened. I saw the bond that I had with my mom. And just knowing my nephews wouldn't have that. Something I couldn't control. I didn't know. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what to do. I'm a person that likes to control things and figure out what I can do to make a situation better. Couldn't do anything. Hit me hard. I said I didn't know who I was. Walking around, I was around my friends. I just felt there, but not mentally. And I felt that for me. I couldn't imagine my brother and my nephews. So like, when we talk about the depression of choice, I have a situation where I can say, yeah, I could figure it out. I knew what to do. I could snap out of it. But I was in this depressive state for a long time. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to approach the situation. I still don't. But I had to tell myself I had to stop being sorry for myself and show up for my nephews. They have a family that loves them and will show up and do everything for them and just continue to surround them with love. So is it a choice? I don't know. But we can do things that we can, I don't want to say put a bandage over it, but make it better.
A round of applause for that vulnerability, please. Thank you, bro. Leslie, you want to key in on this kind of question?
Yeah, I don't think that I have experienced like a clinical depression, right? I kind of think about it like sadness is kind of like that friend that comes in, they cry a little bit, they eat some of your food, and then they dip, right? Where depression is I'm coming in, I'm changing your Wi-Fi password, right? I'm gonna catch up on your chair, on your sofa here, and I'm not paying you rent. And it doesn't go, right? So we're looking at the intensity of it, the duration of it, and really the impact on your life. How is it affecting all these other areas? So sad times, absolutely. But in saying that, coming from, the work that I do is predominantly in racialized spaces, particularly Black people is who I work with. And when I hear the question asking about control, right? Ooh, we love control. We love control. And it's understandable, right? We're hypervigilant because we are constantly experiencing race-based trauma. You walk out your house, you don't know who's going to say something, think something, treat you a different way, just by the color of your skin. So when you have that chronicity of things happening to you, you try to find safety, control in places where you think you can control it. So if we think about how our parents and our grandparents raised us, they were raising us they were raised in a world that required them to be strong, required them to not cry, required them to do all these things because it was survival, right? That gets passed down, right? We learn the same thing. So what do? We learn to be strong Black women, strong Black men. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to tell people my business, so I'm not going to therapy, right? All of the things that we think are actually helping us. But they're forms of repression, they're forms of suppression, they're forms of avoidance, right? All of the negative coping mechanisms, that's what we're doing, and we're thinking we're doing something. But it's not, I don't say that to shame anyone. That's what we learned, right? So it's important to recognize that and I do say some because we still experience this stuff, but some of the coping mechanisms, survival mechanisms really that we've been taught, we actually don't need anymore, right? Or we can relax them. We have different language. We have different levels of support, right? So we can do things a little bit differently. So in terms of control, I would say that for Black and racialized communities, it is about safety, but it's part of what keeps us from getting the help that we need.
Thank you for that. Coming back to you, Doctor. Seeing what you see in CAMH, and then going out to the streets of Toronto, right? I know we all can kind of resonate with some of these things, but how does society view mental illness and their effects, that the belief that depression is a choice? Sorry, let me say this again. How does society's view of mental illness affect the belief that depression is a choice?
Well, I think the glass is half full and half empty. So I got a few gray hairs. I've been doing this for a while. The week before I started med school, they invented fire. Over these years,
A round of applause for that.
Yo, he's funny, I didn't think he'd be that funny. Sneaky guy.
9.75. Look, the glass is half full and the glass is half empty. I think there's been a sea change in our attitudes towards mental illness over not that many years. I mean, I remember a time when no one had mental illness. I remember a friend of the family, this is years ago, and she just disappeared for a couple of years. She was on the couch, and her family never mentioned it. And if you asked what was going on, they changed the topic. But we just didn't discuss these things. No one had mental illness, except, of course, people had mental illness. Today, it's better, but it's not better universally. It's not better in every community within this large city and across this large country. And so there's progress, but I think too many people are of the view that, gosh, it must be a choice and there's something morally wrong with somebody if they're depressed. Look, I think we can be blunt. Depression as an illness is not a choice any more than heart disease is a choice or high blood pressure. And I think there's something different about mental illness, right? When it's physical illness, one, it's visible. I can see that my cousin has a broken leg because he's got a cast. But the other thing is, it's a little less haunting. My cousin is still my cousin. He just has a cast. Whereas with mental illness, it really attacks who we are, right? So your brother, your uncle, they used to love something and they can't get out of bed. And that's very frightening. So I think stigma has faded, but I think there remains stigma. Maybe, unfortunately, there'll always be some element of stigma because mental illness is innately somewhat unsettling to us. But let's put it in perspective. 1 in 5 people in Canada at some point will have a mental health problem. Depression is enormously common. And a better question than is depression a choice would be, what can we do about it? And in fact, depression is a highly treatable mental disorder. A fancy way of saying, if you've got it, you can get better.
I love that. Thank you. Sure, of course.
Sorry, I just wanted to add something so well said. Right? But again, to the idea of depression being a choice, let's think about a baby, right? So when we look at depression, we think about a biosocial and psychological model, right? So biologically, we may be predisposed to it, hereditary, right? It might be chemical, as you said earlier, Sean. And then there are the psychological pieces, right? So what are your thoughts like, right? How are you thinking? Are you experiencing, trauma, that sort of thing? And then there's the social piece. Are you isolated, right? All these things kind of interact. When a baby's born, a baby cannot walk, right? Biologically, they do not have the ability to walk. And as they grow, they start to develop skills, right? Their muscles strengthen, that sort of thing. And they start to develop the skill of walking. That doesn't happen alone, right? To the doctor's point, there is help. With a baby, you put your hand out, you help them walk. If they fall, you pick them back up, you cheer them on, right? So they start developing biologically. They're in an environment that supports them. And then eventually they're able to walk. Nobody looks at a baby and goes, "Why are you not walking yet?" Right? Like, what's wrong with you? You're lazy, right? And so the idea of us thinking that about people who are experiencing the same biological, social, and psychological things is innately unfair. It's very unfair. And to the doctor's point, it feels like it's something that you can just snap out of, but it's no different than telling somebody with a broken leg, go run that marathon, right? Just tough it out. Go ahead.
Thank you. Question for the panel, whoever wants to jump in on this one. This one's a little tough, to be honest. Let me choose another. Oh, this one's tough too. Okay, do cultural differences influence how depression is perceived or treated? Yeah, see, I told you guys.
It seems like they want to answer.
Let them know, Stef.
I told you guys.
Yeah, you came up.
I knew what I was talking about. I knew. Shoot, for me, I jump in right away. Yeah, there's definitely a difference with cultural differences. I know, especially even gender. We talk about men to men. We talk about, brother, you're blessed. We'll get over that. You know what I mean? Even with certain things of what a man would be to look like, it's, you can handle everything, or you're supposed to be able to handle it. You're a provider, something that you should be able to overcome. But with our cultural differences, I see it tremendously differently as being a Black man. That's something that we poke fun at, even, right, to a degree. We don't take it as seriously maybe as we should. So that's just my little tidbit to that.
It's a tough question, man. It's hard to speak on, to be honest with you, because I can only speak from my experience, right?
Shoot.
But I think everybody goes through, every race, every gender. I think everybody goes through whatever they go through. You know what I mean? Everybody has these cultural ways that they're raised, and things that they like, things that they don't like. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's hard for me to say that depression doesn't hit them the same way. Maybe the same things that I go through, they can't resonate with, or vice versa. So yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to really answer this right now.
I think from my observation, again, I only can speak from my experience, but from my observation culturally, if we just for a second looked at like what I see around like my Black friends and my Black family, there's this lack of trust for the world. It's like, don't tell nobody your business. Don't show nobody anything. Don't share anything. They're gonna steal your stuff. Move. Even Terril the other day, he said, you don't leave your stuff. There's someone's gonna steal it. I said, brother, we're in CAMH.
Damn, Fred. Nah, I don't blame me, brother.
You gotta be aware. You gotta be aware, you know?
Doesn't have nothing to do with CAMH.
There's nothing to do with CAMH. You can't leave your phone and your wallet right there and walk across the room and then think it's gonna be there when you come back.
Steph, what did I tell you? Yo, my laptop's there. I gotta go get it.
See what I'm saying? But then I remember I had one of my white friends at university, Zoe, and I was telling her a story about how like the police stole something from a crime scene. And she was like, the police stole? How could they? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, people steal all the time. She goes, where? And there's just this level of like my observation again between my black friends and my white friends. My white friends have this liberty of just like, they just are who they are. They just do whatever they want. They'll have one shoe, don't care. It doesn't matter. Like they'll just be themselves. They feel free and comfortable. And there's something in our community where it feels like we don't trust to be free and comfortable. So then there's this feeling that we can't share our feelings because we have to keep them to ourselves because we do not trust. So when I say, is there a cultural difference? I don't know if the feeling itself is different within us, but the way we express it, to me, is different.
Round of applause for that answer. I like that one. Alexander, you want to chime in on that, how that goes?
Yeah, the other thing I mean, that's huge and was the reason why I started my practice was because it's the difference in how when you do come out and say you need help, how you're treated, right? So, if you walk into, a doctor's office, a therapist's office, and you have to start to explain your very existence, your very humanity. Oh, my hair is different this week because I put braids in it. Or, actually my siblings are, it's my dad's child and it's my half, right? Like you've got to now explain yourself. Or you've got to say, I experienced this awful incident and I feel like it was racially motivated. And someone saying to you, well, are you sure? Are you sure you're not being sensitive, right? Like maybe you're just perceiving it incorrectly. So we have to consider that all of the modalities that are there to treat depression and treat various other mental illnesses were not made for us. They weren't tested on us. They weren't, right? And so that's a problem. So you talk about the hypervigilance we have, right? I do a lot of work with what we call schema therapy. So it's basically how you see the world, how you see yourself, how you see other people, right? And it talks about your attachment needs. And one of the things one attachment need that everybody in this room, we all have the same attachment needs, but there's one for spontaneity and play. So speaking to your point, Tychon, where, you feel like your white friends could just be themselves, be spontaneous, be authentic, play, right? The one thing I say all the time is, well, Black people don't play. We don't play, right? We don't have time to play. We don't have the luxury to play. We don't have the safety to play, right? So, you might see white children commanding the sidewalks with their bikes, as they should be allowed to do, right? But I certainly wasn't gonna let my daughter do that. Or if the ball went over the fence, I wasn't gonna let her climb over into a neighbor's yard and go grab it where other people could, right? So all of these things compound as we're growing up to build that hypervigilance that you guys are talking about. And then you go into spaces that are not made for you and are not safe for you, that you just go, you know what? I'm gonna go pray about it, right? Or I'm gonna suppress it. Right. And that's what ends up happening to us. So I agree that maybe the expression of it might not be different, but for certain, the treatment that we receive is.
Talk about it. So this last question I have, I want everybody to come up with one word. Okay? You follow? Everybody come up with one word. How might we change the way that we treat depression and who is suffering from it? If you could sum that up in one word.
Doc, you look like you want to say so.
Yeah, Doctor looks like he has a couple words.
If I get to do a couple words,
No, one.
I might be 10. My one word would be listen.
Listen.
Can I add to that?
Go for it.
Shoot.
I think You might know somebody, statistically speaking, this must be true. You might know somebody who's going through something and you're worried, and something might be depression. Maybe you've misunderstood, but it might be depression, might be anxiety, might be one of those mental health problems. Start a conversation. Listen, not a conversation at the door as you're halfway out, not a conversation when you're busy with 20 other things, but sit down with them. If there's somebody you work with, sit down in the chair next to them. If you're in their home, sit down on their couch beside them and create that space and ask them, how are things going, and mean it. It's amazing how much can come up and amazing how helpful you might be.
You got a word?
I got one.
Say about it.
Nah, I'm ready. Make Tychon go, you know?
2-letter thing. B.
Sorry?
B. Like B-E.
Okay.
Missed the punchline.
That's all, bro.
B. And when I say B, I mean... What's everyone laughing at? Being dead serious.
Because I didn't get it at first. That's my fault.
Let me explain the B.
Went over your head.
on it. My fault.
B. Let me explain B.
All right, go ahead.
When I say B, I mean...
Yeah, explain, because everybody's confused right now, even the doctor.
What did he say?
You never took Shakespeare to be or not to be?
Ah,
B, brother.
You got some
Brother,
bars tonight.
explain it.
bars.
We're waiting.
Let me finish. You guys keep interrupting me. Okay, B. When I say B, I mean... B.
All right, yo.
Whoa. Let me finish.
Let him finish.
Let me finish. I'm cooking right now.
You did it.
I promise I'm cooking.
it, bro.
I'm cooking. When I say B, I'm being dead serious. B. And when I say that, I mean like what you're feeling in the moment. What you're feeling in the moment, live that. That is your truth. Don't be elsewhere. Don't think you need to be feeling different. Actually be in that moment. I'm sad. That's okay. Be. I'm happy. That's okay too. Be present.
That's a great recovery.
Yeah, that was
No,
good.
you guys didn't let me cook.
We didn't give you a
The
chance.
punchline was just B. Like,
That's Ebonics, bro. When he said me, I thought he was talking to me. Dog. My fault.
oh my goodness.
Go ahead, Theo. What you got?
I would say openness. Like, just because you don't understand, you know what I mean, doesn't mean that you can't show up for somebody. Open to like having an open mind when they're telling you something and like you're like, I don't know what to do. Sometimes they don't want you to do anything. They just need an ear to lean on, a shoulder to cry on, you know? Openness to just, you know, sometimes you just have to be there when, you know what I mean? You really don't want to. You had a long... See what you did? Can't even say the word B no more.
Tell you he was genius, brother.
Yeah, just showing up for people, to be honest with you, just even when you don't want to, and you know they just really need that person. And sometimes I know obviously in life we have a lot going on for us in our own lives, but just be open to... All right, I'm done.
Okay.
Terrill, talk to me. What you got?
Don't say B, fam.
It's hard not to. I was gonna say be patient. You know, like
That's great though.
no, you know, but now when I say be, it's not serious. Like
Just
Just
patience.
say patience, brother. Patience.
Nah, it doesn't sound the same. You gotta be patient. I gotta just say patient. You know, but that's what I would go with my word. Just be patient. Try to understand as much as you can what the person's going through. So be patient.
Listen,
I don't think I have a B, but I think it's connection, right? So in a lot of ways, so connect to services that can help you, connect to the people around you, connect to your own emotions, right? Your emotions are telling you something. They're there for a reason, right? So to connect, I think, is the thing, because really we want connection. We don't want perfection, right? And as long as we can remember that the goal is to stay connected, which means that you have some social supports, right? We know that makes a huge difference, right? Whether it's superficial or intimate social connections, makes a huge difference in helping people move through their depression. So connection would definitely be my word.
thank you guys. That's all we have, man.
You don't have a word,
What
brother?
to say? No, you're not.
He stays dodging questions. You didn't bag it?
Because he's the one who comes to put the question.
Come on, like what we
Nah,
talking
nah,
about? The
nah,
answers
nah,
already.
nah,
Like the
nah.
guy with the
What's your
that's
word,
the
bro?
answer. Love.
Oh,
Yeah,
ready.
right now, right?
Yeah, I was ready.
So you set us up.
I didn't set you up. I told you I had the answers. I let you know first, right? Love. My job. I'm done. No, honestly, in a lot of situations, we can be worried about what we have going on, and then we forget to lead with love. And especially with a man, when we say love, it's like, ooh. You know what I mean? Freck still won't say it. For anybody that doesn't know who Freck is Terril over here. He still won't say he love the man. He says,
I love you.
Look.
Same.
You know what I'm saying? But
Wish him good night. You guys don't call him.
Oh,
wish
see,
him
that
good
trans
night?
did it to me. Did it to me. I was confused.
Okay. No sweet dreams? Was there?
It's funny because my wife told me to call them the other day and do that whole
didn't.
yo good night. No, I called some of you guys. Some of you guys didn't answer, but
Yeah.
some of you guys did.
Oh yeah.
I got one friend. He's in the crowd. I I said it to him. I said, "Good night." He goes, "Who's this?" And,
I'm saying?
I know my number saved in his phone, so I'm like, "It's me." He goes, "No, who's this?" And then he hung up. And then hold on, it gets even better. So I called Tychon. I said, "Good night." Tychon goes, "Is this Terril?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's me." He goes, "I love you." I'm like, "Same," and I hung up.
See what I'm saying? Lead with love, kindness will follow for sure. So, just remember to be kind, lead with love. That's what I got. Yeah, man. So again, thank you guys. That is the first of our panels. Appreciate Dr. David, and I appreciate Leslie Ann for stepping up and talking with us. Thank you.
Mind the subscribers. Subscribers, baby.
Yeah. Where's my camera? Out here? All right, cool. So
You got all kind of cameras, brother.
I'm gonna just look forward somewhere. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. It's gonna be a little button right here. Press that button.
So Sean, don't do it.
I'm good.
All right.
All right. That's it. From us to you.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.